Good morning, all of you. Today we are going to discuss about multi-threading in Java. So basically, what is multi-threading? And before going to know about multi-threading, we already know what is meant by multitasking. So multitasking is nothing but at a time if you are able to do multiple things, that is called as the multitasking. In terms of computer terminology, concurrently if you are accessing, if you are performing some activity is called as the multitasking. But what is meant by multi-threading? Before what is knowing multi-threading, we have to know about what is meant by thread. A thread is a small sequence of a piece of program. So within the program, we have a piece that is called as the thread. So for example, if you take a browser is a process. Browser is a process. Within the browser, we are having multiple windows. We are opening the multiple windows. So each and every window we may call it as a thread. So each and every window is a part of the web browser, but so each and every window is doing a different activity, and one window activity is independent of the other window activity. So this is how at a time we are able to concurrently multiple windows are performing different activities. So this is called as the multi-threading. So for example, if you take we have to know about what is meant by concurrency and what is meant by parallelism. What is meant by concurrency is, for example, here this particular color is representing one process P1 and this color is representing another process P2. Now what is happening in the CPU is, so first of all this particular process is doing the work. Once the process 1 is went to the some input operation or output operation, the CPU is idle. At that time the CPU time has been utilized by the P2 process. Once again the P1 come to the CPU utilization, P2 again goes to the sleeping state and P1 again comes to the execute. Like that, the CPU is shared by the process P1 and process P2, but we will think that they are concurrently work parallelly, they are working together, but they are not working parallelly together. So they are concurrently working, they are sharing the CPU. When the CPU is idle, another process enters the system and performs the operation. This is what actually happens. But we think that all these activities are parallel. Actually, if you want to see the parallelism, where we can see is if you have cores, multi-cores, that is I have one CPU, I have another CPU, two CPUs are there I have, and I submitted one process to CPU 1. The P1 process I am executing in CPU 1 and P2 process I am executing in the CPU. So this is called as the parallelism. So this is called as concurrency. So here we are performing multitasking by concurrently executing the process, and here also we are executing multiple programs, but each and every process is dedicated to one particular CPU. So this is the exact difference between what is meant by concurrency and parallelism. And see one more example. For example, what is a process and what is a thread? What is a process is a single application program. Whatever the program we have written, it is called as one process. So, but what is a thread is within the one program, example, I have written one Java program. Within that, I have main method, and main method is having its sub method called as the run method, and there is a garbage collector method is there. So, I call my garbage collector as one thread, and I call my run method as one other thread, and I call my main method as the another thread. So these when we can call it as a thread is one thread is independent of the another thread. That is, the main work is not at all depend upon the run method, or run method work is not depend upon the main method. So they are not related to each other. There is no dependency between main method and run method and also GC. So at a time we can execute main method and run method. So whatever the piece of program in our process or program, they can execute independently. They are called as the threads. I hope you remember what is meant by thread and what is meant by process. So a program is called as the process, and what is a thread is within the program or a process a piece of unit which is independent of the remaining code, that is called as the thread. Next, I will give some more examples also what is meant by this multi-threading. And so here we can call our multi-threading as a lightweight subprocess. Why we are calling it as a lightweight subprocess, I will explain. Listen. So if you want to execute a process, we need to allocate the memory. For each and every process, we need to allocate the memory and time. Then only the process is going to be executed. But whereas if you take a thread, they will don't require a separate memory and time. Whatever the memory were allocated for the process, that particular memory will be shared by the threads. So when we use a multi-threading, threads will share the common memory. This is the main advantage of the multi-threading compared with the multi-processing. So in multi-processing, each and every process, for example, if you take process P1, it requires the memory M1. If you take process P2, it requires memory 2. And if you require process 3, it requires memory module 3. But whereas if you take a thread T1, thread T2, thread 3T of for example, they are all in P2. Whatever the memory we have allocated for a P2 of M2 module, the same M2 module is combinedly used by the 3 threads. So that is the reason why the memory will not be wasted by using threads, and also performance will be increased. For example, we have previously there is 2 programming languages, server-side programming language. One is CGA, another one is the these servlets. What is the main drawback of this CGA and the servlet is CGAs are using the multi-processing technology, whereas servlets are using multi-threading technology. So the drawback of this particular CGA technology is to use multi-processing. For each and every request, they will treat as a process. We need to allocate the memory. So automatically after certain number of requests, the memory will be exhausted. But whereas servlets, here they will use the concept called as threads, so that's why less amount of memory is required to process more amount of requests. So that is the basic difference between multi-threading and multi-processing. So with the less memory, more work will be completed with the help of the multi-threading. And also, what are the main advantages of multi-threading? So in multi-threading, it doesn't block the user because threads are independent. We discussed already this point. The threads are independent and you can perform multiple operations at same time, and you can perform many operations together. In the previous itself I told, in the single program I am performing 3, like that you can perform multiple activities, and the threads are independent. So one thread output doesn't affect the other thread. For example, due to any problem, if one thread is generated exception, that exception is not going to influence the other thread. Why? Because the threads are independent of each other. So this is the main advantages of multi-threading. So let's see the Java lifecycle. The Java thread lifecycle. What is Java thread lifecycle is? So basically here we have states like born state, runnable state, blocked state, and dead state. So for example, how we are going to create a thread is, if we use this statement, thread T1 is equal to new thread of. So thread is the built-in class which is available in the lang package. So directly we are going to create an object for the thread class, that is T1. So now automatically the thread will be in a state called as the born state, because the object has been created. If I call the method T1.start, then the thread will automatically come to a state called as the runnable state. Once the thread is in the runnable state, it can be moved to either blocked state or dead state. Even from born state, if we doesn't call the T1.start method, if I call T1.stop, automatically the thread will go to a state called as the dead state. Now, for example, my thread is in the runnable state. If my running is whatever the actions I want to perform, if they are completed, and thread will be automatically moved to the dead state. Or on the runnable state, if I call T1.stop method also, the thread will go to the dead state. Even for example, if I am running for some period of time, I doesn't want to do any activity, then what I can do is I can call a method called as t1.sleep with certain amount of time. Then automatically my thread will be sleep for some amount of time and reach to a state called as the blocked state. Again, if my sleep time is over, I again come to the runnable state. Like this, we can move to the runnable state to blocked state and block again. From again blocked state, you doesn't want to may again go to running state, you want to stop your thread. That is also possible by calling t1.stop. So what is the life cycle of thread is what are the phases which are involved in the thread execution. So the thread will be initially born, and after that if you call the start method, you will go to the runnable state. From the runnable state, we will perform all the activities. After that, we may reach to dead state, or if you want to temporarily inactive, we will go to the black state. I can further explain the life cycle of thread better by using this kind of diagram. See here. So again, we have created the thread, and thread has so thread is a state called as the born state. I am calling the start method. I am going to a state called as ready state. So ready state. If my CPU is allocated the timestamp for me to execute, then I will move to a state called as the running state. So I am in the now running state. For example, if all my activities are completed, then what I will do, I will automatically move to the state called as the dead state. Or from running state, I can my activity is not completed. What I want to do is I am not interested to do anything. So simply I can call the method t.stop and I will go to the dead state. So these are things we discussed previously, but other than this, we're also having different possibilities. I will explain one by one. See here again. So from running state, if you want to go to the again to the runnable state, that is you want to make idle for some time, what you can do is by calling the sleep method, we will go to a state called as the sleeping state. So if your sleeping time is over, automatically will come to the ready state, and from ready state, if the CPU is allocated the time, you will come to the running state. Or for example, there is also one more method is called as the wait method. What is the purpose of this particular wait method is you want to wait for a particular thread to work to be completed. You want to wait, so certain amount of time you want to wait until someone has to come to, give a notification, that is you can start your work like that. So you want to wait for some signal. For that we have to call a method called as the wait method. So by calling wait method, we'll go to the waiting state. From waiting state, we will go to the another waiting state to get lock. So from there we will go to the ready state, or by calling a method called as suspend method, we can also from running state we move to the suspend state. Again by calling a method called a resume, we go to the ready. If CPU is allocated time, we go to ready. So from running state we will go to sleeping state, or we go to waiting state, or we can go to suspend state. Even we can also go to one more waiting state, that is called as the join. So when we can use join, this particular join is, so you, for example, our thread is T thread, we want to wait for the until the T2 completes work or the time expires, or our waiting thread got to be interrupted. So like that, some specific amount of time you want to wait, for that we can use the join. So join, wait or suspend are different types of methods which we can use. Go to the sleeping state or waiting state or suspend state also. So next, so basically in Java, whatever the main we are using, it is also a thread. So I can explain this main thread with the help of a small program. See this. Here, whatever the, so I have my class current thread demo, and our main method is also a thread. That's how we can know. So for here, I am using a class, predefined class called as thread, and for that I have created an object called as T, and for that T is equal to thread dot current. So what is the current thread whatever running, that current thread object I am created in the T. And now So that information I am printing by using the system.out.println current thread T. So now I want to change the thread name. So how I can do that is T dot set name of my thread. Then automatically my default thread name, whatever it is, that may be changed to the new name called as the my thread. So after that, we want to ensure that the thread name has been changed. How we can assure it is system.out.println. After the name change, I am printing again T object. Now I can know whether the name has been changed or not. Now what I am doing is simply I want to whatever the thread which is running, I want to make the particular thread to be sleep for some certain amount of time. So for that I am calling a method called as thread.sleep of 5000. So that means automatically for 5000 milliseconds my thread has been going to sleep. Before that I am printing the n value. So now let us see what is going to happen if the particular program is going to executing. See here, first the value 5 has been printed. Now after that 5000 millisecond thread has been slept. Now after that 4 has been printed, and now again 5000 milliseconds. Like this the for loop is internally working and the thread is sleeping for 5000 milliseconds. Due to my system is not a slow system, the output is not delaying. What I am doing is I am making my main program waiting for certain amount of time. So now we'll see the another program. So through this we can understand better. So I think all of you understand. So our main is also a thread. How we are going to know our thread name is see the output. So what is the output we got? Thread. What is thread name? Main. And 5. What is 5? I will tell later. And after that we have changed the name of the thread to my thread. That's why the name is changed to the my thread. And after that I am printing the values. So the values are printed slowly. Why? Because I am using the thread.sleep method. So we'll see the next topic. So how to create a thread? So basically there are two methods for creating the threads. One is by extending the thread class and second one is by implementing the runnable interface. So what is thread class we are having? Thread class is having 4 different kinds of constructors. One is thread, another one is thread of string name. We can pass a string as a parameter, and second one is thread of runnable dot r. So we can pass one object of the runnable class, or we can pass a runnable or we can pass string. So what exactly these things we will discuss. Wait. So a thread can be created by extending a thread class. So see here, I have a class called as multi, which is extending the thread class. Now the thread is having a method called as thread class is having a method called as the run method. So if you want to perform any activity by using a thread, that portion of a code we need to write within the run method. So within the run method we need to write. Why? Because so see here, now I have extended a thread class for my multi class and I using the run method, and within my main method for my multi class I have created an object called as t1. So how I can invoke my thread to the runnable state is by calling a method called as t1.startOf. So t1.startOf method is auto. When I call t1.start, what will happen in the start indirectly call the run method and automatically the run method start going to execute. That's why I got the output thread is running. Let us check whether it is possible or not. So I got the output thread is running. So see that program. So just whatever the program I just shown on the side, the same program I executed. Now you may have a doubt, sir, you created only one thread. Is it possible to create a multiple threads? Yes, multiple threads also we can create. How we are going to create multiple threads? I will just explain this. Now simply the same code I am using. So my multi1 class is extending the thread class, and within the run method I am using a simple for loop which can iterate for 5 times, and within that I am printing the same message thread is running, and also to get what are the current thread is running, for that I am calling a method current thread with the help of the thread class. So thread.current thread will give me what exact thread is running, whether it is a main thread or the new threads whatever I created, those thread names I am going to retrieve by using a method called as thread.current thread. And also I am printing the what is the current value of I. See here, so in my main method for my multi-class, so my multi-class is a capability of creating threads. Why? Because it is extending the thread. Now for my multi-class, I have created one object T1, I have created another object T2, and so once these objects are created, now what we have to do, we have to make our threads has to be running state. How we can make the threads as running is by calling t1.start and t2.start. So automatically indirectly t1.start is going to call the run method of t1 object, and t2.start is going to call the run method of T2. So automatically, so if you see the output, then you can understand what is happening with respect to program. And also one more thing, remember in my main method, I also after T2.start I have another for loop. Do you expect what is the output of the program? Just see, then you can understand how this particular program is working. See, if you see the output, you can understand. So see here, what is happening is totally 3 threads are working. So what are the 3 threads? One is thread 1, another one is thread 0, and another one is the main. Why I got this kind of iteration? Why I got this kind of iteration is why? Because in my program, I have only using the one run method. I am using only one run method. So I have using only one run method. But why I am getting this many number of so for thread 1 for thread 0 1 for thread 0 2 for thread 0 3, after that again thread 1 2. So like that, why I am getting is the same run method whatever I have written, the run method is going to execute with respect to t1.start, and it is also going to execute t2.start. But why again I am getting these main 1, main 2, main 3 like that is, after these two threads has been started, after that my main thread is also running, it is going to execute this particular for loop. That's why I am getting the thread main 1, thread main 2 like this. So this is how we are going to create multiple threads in Java programming. I think all of you, and also one more thing, these are not executing sequentially, alternatives. See here, first of all thread 1 is executed, after that 3 threads are thread 0 is executed, after that the main method is came, after that again thread 0. So according to their own internal adjustment scheduling, the threads are going to be executed. So next topic we will going to discuss, that is how to create threads by using runnable interface. So what is the, why we are using the runnable interface? Can you guess any drawback of this particular, why having a thread class we can create threads, why we need to go for the runnable interface? The only reason is Java doesn't support multiple inheritance. So what is Java doesn't, why, what happens if Java doesn't support multiple inheritance? I will explain through a program, then you can understand. So see this particular program. So before this, first of all I explain this, and after that so here I have a class multi3 which is implementing the runnable. So what is the runnable is, Runnable is an interface. It just contains the dumb abstract method run only. So that is the reason why my multi-class is providing the body for the run method, which is abstract in the runnable class. So this is how we are going to create a thread in the by using runnable interfaces, by using the runnable interface. So indirectly what you can understand is, so basically our thread class is also implementing the runnable interface. So previous programs were extended thread. The thread is also implementing the runnable interface. But here what we are straight away, without using the thread class, we are using the runnable interface, and the abstract method, that is the run, which is in the runnable interface, for that we are providing the body. See here how this particular program we are going to be remaining portion of code, how we have been written. So here for multi3 class I have created a m1 object for my multi3 class, but I cannot call the start method. Why? Because the runnable method is having only run method only. It doesn't have any methods. Now what we need to do is, for my thread class, which is a default in the Java, for that I create an object called as T1, and now thread T1 is equal to new thread of M1. So now I am passing the, what is M1? M1 is the object of the my class where my run method is being located, and that class is implementing the runnable interface. If you remember the methods previously what we have shown, thread class, see here I have the possibility thread of run, so it is there is a possibility that associating the thread with the runnable object. So that's what I am doing here. My m1 object I am passing as a parameter for the thread. So automatically my thread class is going to deal with this particular multi3 class. Now what I can simply do is I will just do t1.start, but internally it is nothing but t1.m1.start. So t1.m1.start. So then it is automatically is going to call the run method in my class. That's why I got the output thread is running. Let us check whether we got that output or not. See, thread is running. So this is how we are going to create the thread by using runnable interface. So now check one more possibility. So here also by using runnable interface, is it possible to create multiple threads? Yes, it is possible. See here, so same previous program whatever discussed through thread class, here also we are using the runnable. So simple. So in the run method I have the one simple same for loop I have, and here I am created the for my thread class T1 object and T2 object. For these two objects I am passing my same M1 as the parameter, m1 object as a parameter, and simply I am calling t1.start. Then automatically the compiler can translate it is into t1.m1.start and t2.m1.start. Then automatically with respect to t1 object the run method is going to execute, and with respect to t2 object also the run method is going to execute. That's why I got this kind of output. You can see. See, so here I have the two threads are running. So one is thread 1, another one is the thread 0. So by using runnable interface also it is possible to create multiple threads. So next concept we are going to discuss, that is see internally how the memory management is going to happen while we are creating the threads. So first of all, initially when the main method has been started the execution, what it is going to happen is inside a stack the main method will be pushed. Then after that what I am doing is I am calling a method called as the method 1. Then automatically the Java virtual machine pushes this method 1 in also into the stack. Now once the method 1 is called, then what is I have written in the method 1 is my thread object my thread obj is equal to new my thread, and after that I call the obj dot start. Now what is going to happen? New thread is going to, so here the thread has been created and automatically I'm calling that particular thread to be started. Now what the Java virtual machine indirectly do is it will create the another stack. So stack 1 is here, so until we have the main method and method 1. Now for with respect to run method, what it will do is to track it, it will create the another stack, and the run method is going to move into that particular new stack. So this is what internally happens while executing the threads. So how many number of threads we are going to create, that many number of stacks are automatically created in the Java programming language. So next, one more program we will see. So by that we can understand how the how the thread is going to be sleep. Just see this particular program. So see here, just I press the command, the output is not came, but now the output is coming slowly one by one. 1 1, see, 2 2, 3 3, 4 4. So like that. Why it is happening is internally I am calling the thread dot sleep method. Just check this particular program, then you can understand how we'll make that happen. So same program, if I am my class is extending the thread class, and in the run method what I'm doing is I'm making the thread to sleep for 5000 milliseconds. If anything is happened with respect to this particular sleeping, the compiler is going to generate the exception. That exception is interrupted exception, and automatically I'm catch that exception, that error I'm going to print out. If nothing is going to happen, now of the why I first I initially it doesn't got the output, or later on I'm getting the output. Why? Because the first of 5000 millisecond thread will be sleep, and after that the value will be printed. And I'm use why I'm getting the different see the output, why I'm getting 1 1 2 2 3 3 5. The run method, whatever the run method, I have only here only one system dot println, but why I'm getting 2 1s 2 2s 2 3s is for I have created two thread objects T1 and T2, and with respect to T1 and T2 I am calling the start method. Then automatically the run method is going to execute with respect to T1 object and T2 object also. That is why I got that kind of output. So we have discussed these topics, and the next class we are going to discuss about what is the requirement of is alive and join, and then after that we are going to discuss what happens without join, with join, and how we can change the priority of a thread. Then after that we are going to discuss what is meant by synchronization, and after that we're going to discuss inter-thread communication, and also we're going to discuss how to suspend a thread and how to resume a thread and how to stop, what is meant by daemon thread, and so and also how to create a thread groups, that is several threads will be grouped together and formed as one group, and these all the stuff we are going to discuss.